The sound of boots hitting the dry earth was all Private Jack Hayes could hear as he trudged through the dusty landscape of a small Afghan village. The sun beat down relentlessly, making the air shimmer, and the weight of his gear pressed hard against his shoulders. It wasn't just the physical weight of his helmet, rifle, and pack that bore down on him. It was the unshakable weight of war. Jack was part of a platoon sent to secure the area, ensuring no insurgents were hiding among the villagers. For years, the United States had been engaged in this distant conflict, one that seemed as endless as the mountains that surrounded them. The mission was clear: to bring stability to a land that had known none for decades. Yet for Jack, the lines between right and wrong blurred more each day. As they approached the village, Jack's eyes scanned every doorway, every shadow. His squad leader, Sergeant Daniels, barked orders to stay alert. The village looked deserted, but Jack had learned not to trust appearances. The enemy had a way of hiding in plain sight, turning even the most innocent-seeming places into battlegrounds. Jack's mind wandered for a brief moment to his family back home in Ohio. His mom's warm smile, his dad's firm handshake before he left, and his younger sister's tearful goodbye all felt like distant memories now. He had joined the army to protect them, to serve a country he believed in. But now, standing in a foreign land, he couldn't help but question what freedom truly meant. "Hayes, stay focused," Daniel snapped, pulling Jack out of his thoughts. They reached the center of the village, where a few elders had gathered. Their weathered faces told stories of hardship and resilience. Through an interpreter, Sergeant Daniels explained their purpose: to ensure the area was safe and free from insurgent activity. The elders nodded solemnly, but their eyes betrayed a mixture of fear and fatigue. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the air. Jack hit the ground instinctively, his heart racing. The sniper's bullet had narrowly missed, embedding itself in the wall behind him. Chaos erupted as the platoon scrambled for cover, returning fire toward the direction of the shot. Jack pressed himself against a crumbling stone wall, gripping his rifle tightly. Adrenaline surged through his veins as he scanned the rooftops for the sniper. The village, once eerily silent, was now alive with the deafening sounds of gunfire and shouting. "Hayes, move up!" Daniels yelled, signaling for Jack to advance toward a nearby alley. Jack darted across the open space, his heart pounding with every step. He found cover behind an overturned cart and peered around the corner. The sniper was perched on a rooftop about 50 yards away, partially obscured by a satellite dish. Jack took a deep breath, steadying his aim. In that moment, time seemed to slow. Jack thought about the person behind the scope of that rifle. Was it a soldier fighting for his own beliefs? A young man like himself, caught in a war he didn't fully understand? The crack of Jack's rifle broke his train of thought. The sniper fell, and the gunfire ceased. Silence returned to the village, but it was heavy, oppressive. Jack didn't feel relief, only a hollow ache. As the platoon regrouped, Jack noticed a young boy standing in the doorway of a nearby house. The boy couldn't have been more than 10 years old, but his eyes carried the weight of someone much older. He stared at Jack, his expression unreadable. Jack wanted to say something, anything, but no words came. The boy's mother appeared, pulling him back inside. Jack watched as the door closed, leaving him alone with his thoughts. That night, the platoon set up camp on the outskirts of the village. The glow of the campfire cast flickering shadows on the faces of the soldiers. Conversations were sparse, the weight of the day's events hanging heavy in the air. Jack sat apart from the others, staring up at the star-filled sky. The beauty of it was almost cruel, a stark contrast to the chaos below. "You did good today, Hayes," Daniel said, sitting down next to him. Jack shook his head. "I don't know, Sarge. Every time I pull that trigger, I wonder if I'm making things better or worse." Daniel sighed, lighting a cigarette. "You're not the first to feel that way. Hell, I've been asking myself the same question for years. But we're here, because someone has to be. Someone has to stand between the chaos and the people back home." Jack nodded slowly, but the doubts remained. Months passed, and Jack completed his tour of duty. When he returned to the U.S., the world he had once known felt foreign. The streets were quiet, the people carefree. It was a stark contrast to the war-torn villages he had left behind. Jack struggled to adjust to civilian life. He took long walks through his hometown, trying to find solace in the familiar sights and sounds. Yet, the memories of war were never far away. One day, he visited a local veterans center, seeking connection with others who had walked the same path. There, he met men and women who understood his struggles, who had their own stories of sacrifice and survival. Through their shared experiences, Jack began to find a sense of purpose. He volunteered at the center, helping other veterans navigate the challenges of returning to civilian life. Slowly, he started to heal. Years later, Jack found himself back in that same Afghan village, but this time in his dreams. The boy he had seen that day stood before him, no longer a child but a young man. They exchanged a silent look of understanding, a shared acknowledgement of the pain and loss they had both endured. When Jack woke, he felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. The echoes of war would always remain, but so too would the lessons it had taught him about resilience, compassion, and the enduring cost of freedom.